Thanksgiving season for the Schumer family. Last Wednesday, we all said goodbye to my father, Abe Schumer, who passed away after 98 amazing years. I want to thank all of my colleagues in this chamber who have reached out with prayers, condolences, and words of kindness in recent days. Their words give us strength, their prayers give us healing, their kindness gives us immense comfort. I say the same to so many New Yorkers who reached out as well. And here on the floor of the U.S. Senate, I want to take a moment to offer a loving son's tribute to the man we lost last week. My father was the kind of parent every kid deserves, every spouse hopes for, and the sort of American that makes our country great. And as I shared last week, quote, in so many ways, he personified the greatest generation. He took whatever was thrown at him, no matter how difficult. He did his job and never complained. He was an amazing husband, parent, grandparent, and great-grandparent. Dad, we love you. We already miss you beyond comprehension. Thank you for the incredible life you led on this earth. Now on another subject, Omicron. Over the course of 2021, our country has made monumental and hard-fought progress in our fight against the COVID-19 pandemic. After the passing of the American Rescue Plan, after getting vaccines into as many arms as possible, and because of the unceasing work of the Biden administration and healthcare workers across the country, we begin the winter of 2021 in a much better place than the winter of 2020. But as we learn more about the Omicron variant that is spreading abroad, my message to the American people is simple. If you don't want to get sick, get vaccinated. If you're eligible, get your booster shot. While there is so much we have yet to understand about the Omicron variant, we do know that you are far less likely to be hospitalized or die from the coronavirus if you are fully vaccinated. And for those who are already vaccinated, research shows that boosters are likewise highly effective. Take the words of Dr. Francis Collins, the head of the National Institutes of Health. Quote, boosters do, in fact, allow your immune system to have a wide range of capabilities against spike proteins it hasn't seen before. If you needed one more reason, if you're eligible to get that booster right away, this would be it. Those are the words of Dr. Collins. By now we know the longer that eligible people resist safe vaccines, the greater the risk of new variants like Delta and Omicron arising in our midst. These strains of variants have largely spread among unvaccinated populations, threatening our families, small businesses, and prolonging the day we put this wretched disease fully in the rearview mirror. So if you aren't getting vaccinated for yourself because you don't think you need it, then do it for your family, your friends, and your neighbors, because the unvaccinated population is where the variants multiply, spread, and grow, and hurt everybody. So as we enter the holiday season, we begin attending holiday gatherings and traveling long distance, and as we begin attending holiday gatherings and traveling long distances to see families, I urge New Yorkers and Americans everywhere to stay safe, get vaccinated, and get boosted. It's the best thing we can do to protect our families, our communities, our country. Now on NDAA, the Defense Act. Madam President, we begin an important week for what will be an important final month of 2021. Later today, the Senate will vote on cloture on the substitute amendment to the NDAA. NDAA has been passed by this chamber for over 60 years, and there's no good reason why this year should be any different. Before Thanksgiving, the Senate worked in as bipartisan way as it could to lay the groundwork for advancing the defense bill. Senate Armed Services Committee Chairman Reid and Ranking Member Inhofe reached an agreement, a bipartisan agreement, on a package of 18 amendments. Let me repeat that, 18 amendment votes for the Senate to hold roll call votes on. Nearly half of those amendments were led by a Republican. That would be more amendments to the NDAA receiving roll call votes than in the last 4 years combined. We also agreed to the substitute amendment, which included at least 50 amendments, 27 of which were led by a Republican. Senator Inhofe The ranking member of the Armed Services Committee agreed to this. In any other time, this would be considered a very fair and generous compromise, even though every member didn't get every amendment they wanted. The leadership on both sides would have made sure that cloture was granted. Unfortunately, Republicans could not accept this agreement before Thanksgiving, but we hope that Republican dysfunction will not be a roadblock to passing this bill and taking care of our troops and their families. Now on government funding. As we all know, by the end of this week, both parties must come to an agreement for funding the government and avoiding a needless shutdown. At the end of September, Democrats and Republicans worked together to keep the government open through December 3rd, avoiding many of the fights that tainted so many funding debates under the previous administration. After the House takes action this week, the Democratic-led Senate will move forward to make sure the government remains funded after the deadline. With so many critical issues, the last thing the American people need right now is a government shutdown, and Democrats are going to work this week to make sure we don't have one this time around. It's important to get it done, and we are working to get it done. And finally, Madam President, on Build Back Better. Before the end of the year, the Senate will also act on President Biden's Build Back Better legislation, which momentously passed the House at the very end of the last work period. This week, Democrats will continue to meet with the Senate parliamentarian in order to complete the technical and procedural work required before a bill comes to the floor. Meetings were held over the Thanksgiving week, and we will continue this week and next week as needed. As I've said repeatedly, once this necessary work is completed with the parliamentarian, I will bring the President's Build Back Better legislation to the floor so we can pass it as soon as possible and send it to the President's desk. Our goal continues to be to get this done before Christmas. Build Back Better represents the largest investment in the American people in generations. Under our bill, child care will be more affordable, pre-K will be more affordable, and raising kids overall will be more affordable for tens of millions of parents. The bill will take unprecedented steps in the fight against the climate crisis, paving the way for even greater action in the future. And as scores of economists from across the ideological spectrum attest to, Build Back Better will not worsen inflation, and in the long run, help bring costs under control. So cutting costs, saving parents money, fighting climate change, and creating the jobs of tomorrow, these are the things the American people want, these are the things the American people need, and these are the things that Build Back Better will deliver on once we pass it through this chamber. I yield the floor and note the absence